SpaceX should not be government funded. Well, that's the myth anyway. I'm Brian. Welcome to my Tesla weekend. So I asked my followers on Twitter to share with me the myths about Elon and his companies that frustrate them the most, and one that came up is that SpaceX is funded by tax dollars. But is it? Elon Musk used government subsidies to fund Tesla's growth and launch SpaceX. He then moved to Texas to avoid paying taxes that would support his community. Now we're all stuck with another billionaire vanity project, Tax the Rich. 43,000 likes. Good job, Spencer Tudor. But is that the case? Does that even make any sense at all? Not really. I mean, first of all, the federal money is not state money and vice versa. But let's skip to that in a second. First, I did want to thank new and upgrading patrons Kevin, Nicola, Joel, and Morty. I feel like I thanked them before, but thank you again either way. I've got a few more of these to get through, so we'll see what we can do. Is SpaceX funded by the government? So Quora, not exactly known for its reasonable approaches all the time, has some great top answers. Yes and no. SpaceX and 3 or 4 other companies bid on the Commercial Crew Program and receive funds to help develop the Dragon Crew capsule. Most of the funds SpaceX receives from NASA are earned payments for launch services. These are cargo missions to the International Space Station, satellite launches, etc. I don't think that's what you mean by funded. A construction contractor is not funded by clients when they build a house. We don't say the grocery store is funded by their customers or the auto collision repair shop is funded by insurance companies. SpaceX is making a profit by providing a valuable service and putting most of the profit into R&D on bigger and better rocket projects. And yeah, the answers remain good. SpaceX doesn't get funding per se. They are paid by contract for jobs awarded. So many launches per year to the ISS. Those launches are typically bid on a per launch basis. Note, in the old days, competition between SpaceX and what is now United Launch Alliance, while ULA was charging $225 million per launch, SpaceX was coming in at an unheard of $125 million. By perfecting reusable vehicles, SpaceX can lower its cost and use the difference to build its other efforts. And these go on. It's only government funded in the sense that Boeing, Lockheed, or any other company that gets contracts from the government is. U.S. government agencies are customers of SpaceX, but not the only customers. Yeah, doing launch for the U.S. government is one of its revenue streams, and it does launches for others too. So, yeah, this is Elon Musk hates government subsidies, but his companies love them. A grid analysis shows that more than $7 billion in government contracts alone. Now, this is extremely manipulated and not exactly factual. This $7 billion number includes all the contracts that had been awarded through SpaceX. It includes all the $7,500 tax credits given to customers who bought cars. It includes a lot of things that don't count. And it also, in many cases, includes the regulatory credits, which are not paid by the government, but paid by the competition. Now, are we going to subtract the savings that those companies got on their ZEV credits because they didn't have to pay fines instead? Well, the government shouldn't be forcing them to give money to other companies. Okay, but those companies need to clean up their act and stop polluting, stop killing the air and the water. This is important. Those companies could have gotten that money too. That $7,500 could have been paid out to buyers of other vehicles. SpaceX is not government funded in that regard. SpaceX versus NASA cost. SpaceX is 10 times cheaper with 30 times lower cost overruns than NASA in lifting payloads into space. Why? Because SpaceX is platform-based and NASA is not. A lot of the contracts that SpaceX gets, I would call unfair. Because other companies often get cost plus, which is why the launch tower for ULA ended up costing like $1 billion, while the entire program for Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy cost less than that. SpaceX is, first and foremost, a business. They have to operate cheaply. Launch cost per kilogram to low Earth orbit 1955, it was outrageous. Shuttle kept it kind of in this range. Falcon 9 to Falcon Heavy. It's the cheapest one out there. So the real question is, Falcon Heavy starts as low as 90 million. It might be more like 100, 125 now, especially if you have to expend the center booster, which sometimes happens. Every time the US government uses SpaceX, they save money. Should I say that the US government is partially funded by SpaceX? Because by that reasoning, they are. SpaceX outperforms in terms of development cost. NASA verified SpaceX's total development cost for the Falcon 9, $390 million, including $90 million towards the Falcon 1 rocket. That's amazing. Yeah, the Falcon 9, had it been developed by NASA in-house, would have been between $1.7 and $4 billion. That's according to NASA, their own estimate. So this is a big savings. This is a lot. Similarly, for heavy lift, Falcon Heavy outperforms the rivals. The Apollo program, bad example, because it was done very quickly with an amount of development that was hitherto unimaginable. Saturn V accounted for 40% of total spent on the program. So, yeah, here's the costs. It's amazing. It is a big cash savings. To say that SpaceX, and some people still say, oh, well, NASA should be doing all their own rocket building rather than SpaceX. Well, right, but they've never done that. The Apollo rocket was built, the Saturn V was built by Martin Marietta and used contractors from all over the country. It worked. It was great. But boy, was it expensive. They're cheaper. They're better. And the Falcon 9 has the highest rated reliability of any rocket family ever flown. So that's kind of valuable too. To the moon and the stars, why Elon is an underrated strategic national asset for the US. So when the whole Ukraine thing happened, if you block cooperation with us, who will save the International Space Station from an uncontrolled deorbit? Well, see, when the shuttle program ended, NASA didn't have anything lined up and ready to go. They hired United Launch Alliance and SpaceX to develop a resupply system, and it worked. I mean, not so much United Launch Alliance. It took them forever to get off the ground. And today, SpaceX still does all the crewed missions to the space station. Without that, Russia might have us over the barrel a little bit. And NASA keeps expanding the contract for SpaceX because they are able to actually do it. So they're getting more money because they're doing more work, and they're doing it for less money. For less money per launch, per seat, per kilogram, it's a better deal all around. So thanks as always to my Patreons who get early access, bonus content, and ad-free experience in many cases, and help keep the channel running. And a reminder, if you are going to be in Texas on Wednesday, you should check out Investor Day. We've got a pregame at noon. It's an all-ages event. We will have guests like Ellie in Space and Tesla Herbert and Alexandra Mertz, drone pilots, free pizza, drinks, giveaways. It's going to be amazing. Hope to see you there. Get a ticket. Get a ticket. Link in the description so that I know you're coming and we know how much pizza and drinks to bring. So what did I miss or misunderstand? Leave me all your thoughts in them comments below, and stay tuned, stay juicy, and I can't wait to see you Wednesday.